Evening, Donny Walker. Got a couple still 461s here to do for a friend. He dropped this one off, the heated versions. What did he put on his note here? Has a pinging noise. Still running okay, but has this pinging noise, so he's kind of worried about it. So let's just go through what I'd first look at. Let's just take some of the covers off and just check out the condition of it all. He runs these ported 461s in pretty big wood. Runs 32s on them. Once in a while he'll throw a 36 on it. In the West Coast here, most guys run all 32 to 36. No real any shorter in falling here. Unless you're in the interior, you might use a 28 30-inch. You know, that's about it. So I'm just going to take the covers off. And we're going to just give it a little pull over and see if I feel anything or any kind of noise. And then I want to check the end of the crank for any movement up and down. And we'll look at the piston and cylinder too. Got a little carried head of myself there. Oh, let's put that back down. These are quite a common saw, guys that run stills in the coast here. Run the 461s, old school 066s. Guys now run the 462s, and of course the 500s. For a lot of guys still like these little 461s. They're quite reliable, don't give you much of a problem. Okay, that cover's gonna be off, top cover. That aside, I'm gonna zoom in a bit here tonight. And I got so the plug's out. Plug looks like a really nice color, nice tan brown to it. It's burning good, not a lot of carbon buildup, so he's replaced it fairly recently. Let's just feel it as we turn it over now. It's a heated saw, so you got to remember as you pull it over, you're turning the heated generator around too, which has magnetism to it, so it feels different when you pull them over. It feels a little rough. Or that could be that magnet. So I'm going to pull the starter off now and the clutch drum and the front muffler plate to look at the piston. It was still running, so I know it hasn't seized or anything. I'll get the clutch cover off, and as I take things off, I inspect everything. I'm looking at the wear of the bar plate, looking at his back guard here, which should be replaced, but it's good for a bit yet. His wear pads here on the clutch cover are still okay. Chain catcher is good. He runs the standard bigger dogs that come with these saws standard with the full wrap version here to Canada, and they're just fine for most fallers. This fella has a lot of experience, so if he runs just these regular ones like this, they got to be pretty good for the West Coast, because he's taking down just as big a trees as everyone else. Has got these great big dogs these days, these big 3 points and 5 points. There's nothing wrong with the standard ones, depending which way you like to fall. Maybe the guys need the bigger dogs that aren't as much experience. You know, they got to do some more prying, or they just work the saw differently for their undercuts and lining up their cuts. Okay, so I'm going to take the clip off here, the washer, the sprocket off here, the clutch. I'm looking at the clutch drum, feeling it for up and down wear. It's got some slop to it. Where we know some of these drums, they lose their hard surface, then they start getting too sloppy, eh? I can see this one is starting to wear. It still has the hard surface there, but there's some wear in there. So that's why it's got a bit of the slop to it. It's not bad. I'd replace it maybe in another shift. Okay? Nice thick clutch drum on these, not like those wimpy ones on 500s and 462s. If you measure the wall thickness of the clutch drum on them, they're quite a bit thinner in these ones. Right in the workshop manual, they have a thickness. If it gets too thin, you're supposed to replace it. But normally they get that wobble like that first, and you know you're going to replace it anyways. Clutch bearing looks okay, intact. Clutch springs are all intact. All the shoes are on one piece. Let's see if the crank has any play. It's got really nothing there. Okay. So nothing in there broken that would make it be pinging, like a broken clutch spring or a broken keeper on the clutch shoes here. So that side looks good. Let's get our starter off now and feel our flywheel side for bearing movement. And then we'll get our front cover off and check the piston for any horizontal scoring. Like I said, I don't think there is though, because this fella was using it when he finished with it. Okay. Don't feel any. Feels pretty good. It feels good. He's got the 066 coil on here, or 046 coil, because he doesn't like the rev limiter of the one, so he's got to make sure his carburetor is adjusted right. Okay, so I don't see nothing grinding in here. Yeah. No crank movement. Okay. Let's look at the top of the piston, see if there's any marks on it. Looks good. Nice brown, tan brown. This thing's tuned just right. So he's on his carburetor right. He's an experienced follower. He knows what he's looking at. Okay. I feel a little kind of a rock to the motor. It's pretty normal. Maybe a little excessive. Okay, let's get this front cover of the muffler off. He's got on this side port, you've seen this has been modified with a larger outlet. So the stock one kind of blows in your side of your face when you fall with these saws. So someone's modified that and cut that side out. They've also got an opening on the top, and they got one on this side with a heavy mesh screen. So that's basically like putting a bark box on. This is just an old school way. Bark boxes are nice because they're easy bolt on, but some of the followers here don't like them. They blow in their face a little too much, unfortunately. Just some guys have gotten used to them, and one thing great about them is they're an easy bolt on for modifications. So let's get this one off and have a look. Some guys too, before the bark boxes and stuff are available, I would mod this side and put one on that side, but I would also put the Magnum cover on. The Magnum cover off the 046 fits right on these, and it's an easy mod to do, obviously by just bolting them on. Someone's also cut all the baffle out inside here, so this is a good opened up muffler. Maybe a little too much, but it works good. Okay, I'm seeing no scoring at all. A little bit of carbon buildup, but the piston looks good. Rocking up and down. It's just the rings. It's minimal. Piston's got a little bit of intake slap. I'm going to look at the intake side of the piston. If it's got a lot of wear, you know, it could be making a tinging sound as it runs. And when it runs, or a lot of times when I'm just pulling them over, I can almost hear that, but I want to just look at it anyways. Okay, we take our two nuts off for our air filter elbow or holder. Pull this off, and this is a good time to do a little maintenance on the saw, cleaning up some of the debris in here that gets into your switch area, that it ends up the switch might not work right, you know. It's a good thing to blow off in there and around the top here where your carburetor compensator is, so it doesn't get plugged up with stuff. I've showed you that before in a video, or if that gets plugged up, it'll run rich and really weird. Okay, let's get the carburetor off. Of course, the thing's full of fuel, so it's going to spray fuel out on me. Okay. Why can't they send them FDA? Okay. Undo your linkages. This is a heated version, so it's got an element on the carburetor here with a thermostat, so it heats the carburetor at a certain below zero, you know, 10 below zero, something like that. Let's get our gas tank cap cracked. So we take the pressure out, the fuel pressure, or it's going to spray in my face. Okay, there's the pressure out. I can pull the carb out with hopefully not leaking fuel all over the place here. There you go, not squirting out. Now I'm just going to shine in the intake here and look at the piston on the intake side. It's got some scoring, not a lot, just a bit, and it looks like it's just from a little bit of the flashing of the chrome from the bottom part of the port, which is weird because that's where I would normally port them properly and chamfer them, but someone here has done the top instead of the bottom, so whoever did this saw was a little backwards. Anyways, it's okay. So I don't know, maybe there was something in his muffler, like maybe one of those screens making some noise. So I'm just gonna clean this up, put it back together, and give it back to the customer. You know, I'm gonna maybe put a fuel filter in it. The plug looked like new, but I'll probably put one in it anyways. And I'm just gonna go through his carburetor just to check it as well. So yeah, I didn't find anything there, so that's a good sign for the customer. Bad sign for me, I don't get to spend his money, but that's okay. So yeah, I'll have to talk to him about this one and say, hey, you're good to go, man. You know, unless when it gets warm, it's got some sort of bearing noise, but I don't feel any play. I don't see any marks on top of the piston from bearing flashing. And a lot of times it'll hit the top of the piston, come through the transfer ports. You'll see little marks, but no marks at all. Just nice tan brown carbon to it, top of the piston. So this thing's tuned really nice. So I think I'll just go a little farther, check his inner muffler bolts out, check those screens if they're moving around. And that's about it. Clean it up, put it back together. So that doesn't take long, eh? You know, for a faller, just to take his covers off and that back carburetor off to clean around the carburetor there. You know, that only takes, what, 5 minutes there I just did it for? So, you know, you guys out there should do that stuff, man. You guys need to have a compressor at home. Do this stuff yourselves a bit, and then you won't have so much problems. But that's okay. Keeps us working. Everyone's got to make a living. So there you go. That's how I would check that one for that kind of noise he talked about. I'm also even going to pull that compression release out and have a look at it, make sure it's sealing good. It doesn't look like it's leaking around the threads of it, but yeah. Okay, well, there you go. Clean this up, put it back together. Go from there. Got some more stuff coming up. I found a side cover and a bar and chain so I can run that old McCullough 610 for Jim down in Texas there, and make some cuts with it. Make sure it's tuned just right for him. Texas shouldn't be much different of a carburetor adjustment than here, I wouldn't think. Never know. I'll check that out though. Doesn't matter. I'll teach him how to do it. Anyways, keep your saw into it, stick in the ice, rubber under out. Check out walkersawshop.com online store. Have a great rest of your Sunday. And man, Halloween's coming up in a couple of nights here, so me and Shelly got a few candies tonight there, and I think she bought me a Halloween costume too, so we'll check that out. Okay. Have a great night. Love you all. Bye.